Welcome to At Your Library. I'm your host, Cathleen Clifford. On location today at Esker Point Beach, we are going to talk about summer beach reads. Joining me is Lindsey Mahn, our newest addition to the reference department at the Groton Public Library. Welcome, Lindsey.
Thank you.
So, last year and the previous years, I've always told you what you should be reading at the beach. This year, we're going to talk about how many ways you can read at the beach. So I'm going to start with a very easy one, last year's bestseller beach read, Ellen Hildenbrand. The Perfect Couple takes place in Nantucket. It has a mystery, a murder, and some love. And of course, it takes place at the ocean. And the reason I'm telling you about this, because if you missed it last year, you'll want to read it before you read this year's biggest beach read, Summer of '69. And Lindsey's going to tell you how you can read it.
So all of our copies happen to be checked out at the moment, but what we do have is Kindles available to check out from the library. So we have big name books on here like The Summer of '69, we have Michelle Obama's Becoming, and we even have Where the Crawdads Sing, which is another really popular book. So you check one of these out, it comes with a nice little bag and charger with instructions, and you have a choice of different things to read, which is really nice. They're pretty easy to use as well, so feel free to check out one of those. And if you don't happen to want to try that out, you can also download the Kindle app onto your phone. And this is how I tend to read a lot of my books because I always have my phone with me. And you use Overdrive to get the books. I was reading the book P.S. I Love You by Celia Ahern, which is about a woman who loses her husband at a young age, and he gives her a letter for every month to help with her grief. And this is an older book, but it's a good one. There's a great movie, and she is coming out with a sequel very soon, which is exciting to see how this character's life progresses after the death of her husband. And so that's what I use on my phone for, yeah.
Well, I also use my phone for reading, but unlike Lindsey, I download audiobooks. Again, just go to our Groton Public Library website, choose Overdrive, and you can pick from so many different audiobooks. Right now, I'm listening to Colson Whitehead's The Nickel Boys. This is a brand new book. It is fiction and it is based on a reform school in Florida, where recently has been in the news because they're finding bones and remains of some of the students that were quote-unquote runaways at the time, and now we're finding more into the abuse. So it's pretty heavy, and I'm not going to lie. There are times that it's a little painful, but I think it's important to expand my genre, and I try to read everything. So audiobooks on my phone. However, if you're not a tech-savvy person and you want to go old school, the library has many books on tape. Books on CD. We don't even call them tape anymore. Books on CD. They come with the CD. You can put it in your car, or if you're like me and you want to take it to the beach, you can take the CD player. I don't know if anybody has these around. Mine might be circa 1999, but it takes 2 batteries and it goes right in here. Jane Green is a super beach read. Every year she comes out with a book, and some of them do take place in Connecticut. This one, however, takes place in London and New York. It's the story of 3 friends that meet in college and their relationship as they mature and how they come together for a reunion. It's a very nice story, and I love Jane Green, so I can never say no to that. Have you ever used a Playaway?
Yeah, we have a Playaway right here that is brand new to the library. This is On the Come Up by Angie Thomas. Angie Thomas is also the author who brought you The Hate You Give, which was turned into a movie. It is a young adult couple of books that take place in the same area. This one is about Bree, who wants to become a rapper, and she is dealing with a lot of other issues as well. Her mom was a former addict, her father has been murdered, and her mom also just lost her job. So she's got all of these things happening, and it's all put into her poetry and her raps, which is why it makes it so cool to listen in audio, because you also have that kind of rhythmic rap halfway throughout the book. So that is a cool one to check out on Playaway.
It adds just another level of dimension.
Just another dimension, exactly. So that's what I have audio-wise.
I should take this opportunity to talk about Hey Kiddo, since you led into that with the attic. Hey Kiddo is our one book, one region, and everybody in southeastern Connecticut is reading it right now. The author is coming to our area in September to talk about his book. Hey Kiddo is a graphic novel, also super portable for the beach, but he tells his story through his art, and his mother was also an addict. So Bree deals with her pain and her coping mechanisms through her music and her writing, and Jarrett deals with his through his artwork. So you can check out Hey Kiddo at the library, and we also have it on the Kindle. Have you read any good books this summer?
I've read so many books. So sometimes if you are a social reader, you like to read a book with a friend, we have book discussion books where we have multiple copies. We have a lot of both of these. These were just two of my favorite book discussion books that I pulled off the shelf. A Man Called
Uva. I think it is.
Up for debate.
He's Swedish.
Yes, it's very good. It's about a man who kind of isolates himself after the death of his wife and then creates a new friendship that helps him get out of that. Eleanor Oliphant is completely fine. It's kind of similar. This one's British, though. Eleanor is someone who's a little bit socially awkward. There's some cringy moments in the book, but again, she learns to leave her past behind with a new friendship and gets out of her shell, and it's both of them very heartwarming. So if you want heartwarming, either of these are a good
I
choice.
love the idea of taking them out at the same time as a friend.
Yeah.
Because if you're going to the beach together and you're reading the same book, the conversation, it can't go anywhere but up.
Yeah. Did you get to this point? That kind of thing.
I love that idea. If you're like me and you go to the beach solo, or you're trying to tune out your kids, you can also do Playway. I tend to do my listening on heavier topics. Hillbilly Elegy is the story of the poor white Americans, and it's very rare today to read about poor white Americans because it seems like so many of our issues deal with race, but this is just such a beautiful story of the Vance family, and the way it's read and the way it's written, it opened up another door for me into a lifestyle that I completely was unaware of. It's a very quick read. It's a memoir. I love memoirs. They're like absolutely my favorite. So this is a memoir, and it is a Playaway, which if you're not sure what they look like, they're this big. So you just plug in your headphones, which mine are on the beach now. You just plug in your headphones, your earbuds. If you don't have any of these, we also have these at the library, so you can get everything. And then you just plug it in and turn it on. It does require a battery. If we don't have one at the library for you, I'm sure you can find a battery. But so portable. People take them on walks. They take them to the beach. They take them everywhere. So, Playways. I also have read a lot this summer, so very much, but I'm going to talk about a couple of my favorites. This one, a memoir, because I adore memoirs, Out East by John Glenn. This is a story of a young man who spends his summer in a house share in Montauk. He lives in New York City, he's a working man, and every weekend up to 27 people share this crazy house. And they don't see each other much during the week, but on the weekend they come down to Montauk, and it's this magical world where they party and they spend time in the sun and their friendships grow. And he discovers who he is the summer he's 27. And it's a beautifully written book. Anita Shreve gave him an incredible write-up, and I've met John, and he's a pretty special guy. So beach read, Montauk, and a coming out story, Out East by John Glenn. We're going to take a short break right now to have you digest what we've told you. But when we come back, Lindsay and I are going to share some more ways that you can take your favorite books to the beach.
When I was in foster care, I never knew when I would have to move, so I always had my suitcase ready to go. Then one day, I was adopted. My new parents opened their hearts and home to me. My parents cook my favorite breakfast for me every morning. My parents take me on trips I never thought I would go on. They gave me a home and an even better reason to use that suitcase. My parents aren't perfect, but they're perfect for me.
Look at you. You're at the top of your game. You're unstoppable. Nothing can throw you off track. Wait, is that your car? Uh-oh. Yeah, I saw that coming. That will throw you off track. You're looking at around 10 grand in fines, legal fees, and increased insurance rates. Let's try this again. Smart move. Because buzz driving is drunk driving.
We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all men are created equal.
The torch has been passed to a new generation of Americans.
The American dream need not forever be deferred.
This is the richest and the most powerful country.
Welcome back to At Your Library. We're on location at Esker Point Beach here in Groton, Connecticut. Lindsey and I have been talking about what to read this summer at the beach and what different types of items to bring. We've talked about our tech AV things, and everything's available at the library, so if you want to come down and touch them and see them and have a little explanation given to you, just come down to the library during working hours, and our website always is available and you can download all kinds of things from there. But if you're afraid to come to the beach with the library materials because you're afraid you're going to drop it in the sand or get wet, or you're just really nervous about that, we have a shelf at the library called Takeaways. And basically they're softcover books. They're not new, they're older, more popular books. I brought a Nora Roberts one. Nora Roberts is such a hit. But you can come down and you can take as many of these paperbacks as you want, borrow them, return them, pass them on to a friend. If you have some paperbacks that you want to donate to the library, we have room for a few. So, feel free to take one, drop one off, and you can bring these with you and not worry about damaging a library book. How about you, Lindsey?
All right. So this is another young adult book. I love young adult books. There's nothing wrong with adults reading young adult books. This one is called An Abundance of Catherines by John Green, and it's about a kid named Colin who is dumped by a girl named Catherine, and he's dated 19 girls named Catherine. So he's got to this point in the summer where he doesn't really know who he is anymore. He doesn't have this girlfriend. He had been a prior genius, and now he feels like he's just lost. So he starts a summer road trip with his best friend, and they come to this town where they decide to stay for a while, and he learns more about himself in the process. And it's just a really good kind of coming of age story that is easy to relate to no matter what age you are. So An Abundance of Catherines is really great, and John Green in general writes amazing books. But if you want something a little bit different,
A little bit darker,
Gillian Flynn, I have loved everything she writes. This one is Gone Girl. It was turned into a movie a few years ago. This book is a little older, but if it's one that passed by you, I highly recommend it. It's about a woman who goes missing and her husband who's trying to find her. So you have this perspective of the husband of being worried and kind of distraught, but you also have her diary entries, which show that maybe the marriage wasn't all that was presented. And then there is just a great twist ending that I did not see coming at all. So this one is really good if you want a edge of your seat thriller kind of book that is also well written. So.
And you feel comfortable reading it in the daytime,
Yes.
so you can bring it to the beach rather than at night.
Exactly. So those are the books that I have. And then if you want something really light, we have magazines that you can check out from the library as well. I brought along an Eating Well if you're planning your meals at the beach, which I tend to always be thinking about food. Also Food Network magazine. It's got some nice fruit on it, which is all I want to eat in the summer is fruit. And then Entertainment Weekly, just to know what's going on in the world. And we have back issues of this for 3 years about.
Right.
So you have a lot of selection, a lot of different magazines. very light, something you can put down and not worry about losing your place, that kind of thing. So,
and I think we have well over 100 titles of magazines.
Yeah.
We have everything from art, A, all the way down to video maker, V, and I think we even might have a watercolor magazine for you
we
artists.
definitely do.
And of course we have everything else in the alphabet as well. And you can check out magazines. A lot of people don't know that. So if you love to read magazines but you just can't quite afford that habit, come down to the library and check them out with your library card. If you find yourself at the beach and you don't have anything to read, oh my gosh, how could you even let that happen? But if you did, don't fear. At Escrow Point Beach, we have a book nook. It's a tiny little nook full of books for anybody to borrow. You can take one, you can leave one. You can recommend them to your friends, and you can write a little note in the book after you're finished on a piece of paper, letting them know why they should read it. So we have a book nook at Escrow Point Beach. Don't forget to check it out. So I'm just going to finish with 2 more books that I recommend this summer. I always tend to recommend an older book because the new ones are off the shelf. Kristen Hanna, a lot of people know from The Nightingale. I have read Kristen Hanna from day one. It was recommended to me by another librarian. Her name was Alicia, and I just adored her. And she turned me on to Kristen Hanna. Summer Island is about a mother and daughter who are totally out of sorts. They are just at odds, and the mother suggests that the 2 of them go away to an island. And this is in Washington State, so it's in the San Juan Islands, and they go to their house and they spend the summer together, and they discover so many things about each other that they didn't know. So it's a beautiful setting. It's a beautiful mother and daughter tale. It's a story of, you know, redemption and forgiveness, and of course, she writes in such a beautiful way. And we have many, many Kristen Hanna titles to check out. I love this. One of my favorites this summer, and it's by a local Connecticut mother-daughter team. This is How to Survive a Brazilian Betrayal. This is by Velia and Eris Urban. They live on the other side of Connecticut. And this is their memoir. About an incident that happened to them when they were attempting to move to Brazil to start a new life. They are wacky, crazy, amazing mother and daughter team. They're currently around the area, so if you get a chance to meet them, you absolutely want to. However, if not, we have their book at the library. I could not stop reading it. I read it in one sitting. It makes you laugh, it makes you cry, it makes you a little nauseous at one point. Their poor dog. Oh, their poor dog. But I love this book, and if you haven't read it, this is the one I recommend for this summer. And, Lindsay, what do you do if you don't have anything to carry your books to the beach with?
Oh, we recently got these great bags that say fun little things. Sorry, I'm booked, meet me in the stacks. This one down here says read, return, repeat. And those are available for purchase. I believe it is $5 each and $14 for the full set.
Right, and now that it's August 1st, we have to be very careful with our recyclable bags here in Connecticut. So you can support the Friends of the Groton Public Library and get a super cute bag. This has been At Your Library on location at Escrow Point Beach. Thank you for checking in.